And this is Lennis, the online media strategist for Beverly Kyer, and we have a wonderful topic today on Mindfulness Mondays. This is a show where you get to find out ways that you can prevent the onslaught of compassion fatigue. And I'm going to bring Beverly Kyer on right now because we're going to be talking about something that's really interesting, Beverly, and that is the importance of changing the scenery and recharging your mind body spirit connection. You know, last night you were talking about that you're going to be going on vacation because you are practicing what you preach. You do make sure you take your vacations and your breaks because of the nature of the business, and you're dealing with people in crisis and trauma all the time. But why is changing the scenery so important when it comes to recharging your battery and in terms of how your overall wellness is?
Mm-hmm. Well, good morning. Thank you, Lennis, and good morning to you, and good morning to everybody else. I am changing a scenery, and I'm going to explain what led to that, why that's important to me, what are the obstacles that I was facing, what are the symptoms I was feeling to let me know that needed to happen. And let's talk about that. I want to begin with this. I knew I needed to do this because I could feel myself for quite a while actually becoming emotionally drained. My body's stiff, my eyes were very, very strained. Look like I'm crying. Sometimes my eyes are red. It's just too much viewing the screen. My energy, and this is what alarmed me, is really, really fledging. And usually I'm a very energetic, animated person. I felt a little lethargic. I mean, sometimes I just don't want to move. I wake up early, but I don't want to move. I felt, I could say, a general malaise in my body. I just feel queasy, kind of sick. Also, there was the issue of the smoke and the ash. I don't live right close to the fires, but the smoke and the ash had really assailed us. So my windows have been closed for over 2 weeks now. And that also prevented me from taking my walks to get outside and see some scenery, get some air, exercise my body. I'm one of those persons who needs solitude. Solitude. That is being away from my cell phone and my emails. I get tons of work that way. And to a large extent, I'm one of those people also who likes to feel pampered. So I like the services that I get going to places. Most of all, I needed to rest my body, mind, and my spirit. At some point years ago, after my heart failures, I began to gradually, but certainly now, doing a better job of listening to my body. And as a backup, because I know myself, I have accountability partners, I have my therapeutic community, I have friends who know the work that I do. They know the strain, the trauma that I work with on a daily basis, and they anticipate the strain. So they frequently remind me and nudge me to take a break from everything, to reboot and recharge myself. I literally get calls, I'll literally get texts and say, when you're going to stop, it's time, it's over time, you're going too far. We even hear some stuff, they hear some stuff on the media, some tragedy, some crisis, the disastrous fires, the hate things, racial tensions and stuff. And they call me and they say, Beverly, I know that you somehow in the mix of that, what are you going to do for yourself? So at my home that I love, I'm very happy to be here. Matter of fact, I was one of those few people that after the shelter in place, quickly found a place of gratitude about being home, because my prior life to COVID-19 was constant travel. I like my home. I love my home. I'm grateful to have this home. Yet I am too aware of all the many responsibilities that I am currently too exhausted to fulfill, to manage. I always want to do something. Yet if I stay home, I know me, I can't resist doing a little this and a little that. I'm often telling myself, well, I'm just going to take about an hour. However, that hour lasts for 3, 4, 5 hours. And then I'm still tired at the end of the day because I really didn't. So I want and I need a change of scenery. I need to change the environment that I am. I had plans to visit and stay at one of those wonderful health retreats. And I was going to one of the wellness centers for exercise and healthy eating, mostly eating grass, and peace and restoration and walks. And they had set up really, really nicely for social distancing. I had no plans to be in no crowds, and also wearing masks, very, very clean, sterilized room accommodations. And I had spent a considerable amount of time sending all of my medical records and the kind of conversations to find out what I need, what I wanted, and what they had to offer. I was really doing my due diligence, only to have them tell me way too late, really at the last minute, that they could not accommodate my reservation dates. My dates are kind of written in stone. I always take off my birthday. I have for almost my entire career. And so I told them right up front I needed to come from, I'm going to tell y'all, October 1st through October 14th. And they failed to tell me until the last minute that they no longer had that space available. So, with that being the case, if I don't take that vacation time, it'd be months before I could get another opportunity to do that. So that was just not going to happen. So I chose to create the next best thing for me. In other words, what I wanted to do is recreate my own wellness retreat, my own experience, my own sanctuary, where I could get a suite, beautiful. When I talk about a suite, it has a sleeping area, a living room area, and a kitchenette kind of thing, with lots of sunshine where it was located, and a fitness center that was built in where I would be very, very careful to clean equipment before and after I had arranged for my various kinds of exercise, like my Bagua exercise and my stretching with my muscle mechanic is all on video for me to do it there. And one of them are even going to call in and do the exercise with me via Zoom. I ordered healthy food, purified water, taking my candles, my music, my spiritual music, my dance crazy music, because I love that. Taking my Bible, taking a great recommended book, all of those things that I'm planning to have with me at the retreat. I want to say that I could do that because I don't have young children, and I don't want to leave out people who have young children, and this is not a convenient thing to do. There, I just wanted to suggest a couple of things, and I had gotten these ideas from some of the people that I talked to from the field. Well, in spite of the fact that it's challenging, there's other things that people are doing. There's family resorts that I used to go to before and stay there. So they have the extra space, the adjoining rooms for the kids. And many of those places are really, really diligent about safety practices. It's a matter of you calling and checking it out, visiting, looking at customer surveys and reports. Some people are going on camping, and they can find campsites that are not close and congested. They're separated from other people. You could be at the shore, you could be in the hills, you could be wherever, for those kinds of places to take the kids. I'm also hearing lots of people visiting very trusted, safety responsible friends and family. When I say that, they're making an agreement to do a pre and post kind of quarantining to make sure that eliminate the opportunity for there to be transmission of people who are non-symptomatic, yet they can be carriers. And they're doing those kinds of things just so that the children and the families can have a different kind of experience away from home. And I've always believed too, and this may sound a little weird, but it's good sometimes to miss your kids and your family just for a couple of days, and for them to enjoy other friends and family as well. I was remembering something else, and I hadn't seen this in years. There was a program, and when I'm talking about years, I'm talking about probably like 20 years or so, that was on TV, one of the earlier reality shows, and I happen to hate reality shows unless it's decorating. But it was a show called Switching Places. And I think the purpose of the show was for people to be able to learn or be exposed to different ways of living. It had a lot to do with behavioral changes, but what it would mean that a family member, the mother or the father or the kids, would move into another home and have the experience of adjusting their lifestyles to others. And I think we could do things like that with friends and family as well. It's a lot of preparation before, a lot of preparation after. But I just wanted to say that because I didn't want to leave the people with children out to figure out some new things to have a change of scenery. I must here know the truth about me because I'm a very self-disclosing person. And that is, in spite of the nudging and the encouraging and the reminders from my friends, I allowed myself to sink a little too far before stopping to recharge. I did. I knew it. It was coming out. My birthday scheduling for vacation, that's kind of written in stone. And like I said, I've been doing that every year. But in truth, I should have taken a break months ago. Just a little something easing into this. And so for that reason, next week, I want to talk to us, because I'm rethinking the whole thing myself, on the subject of when too much is too much. In other words, I want us to be in a place where we could notice, we could be aware that we're under strain. So I'm going to talk about warning signs and indicators that it is good for us to pay attention to and to adhere to, so that we could just take a pause, decompress, slow it down, switch environments if necessary. And it really usually is very, very useful to change environments. Before COVID, the fires and all the smoke and the ash, I would just get in a car sometimes and drive someplace and park someplace beautiful. I love to go down to the marina and stare at the water. And some people go out to the areas with beautiful, beautiful trees and the redwoods and stuff like that to change. I've even visited some friends, and they were in their yard and I was in the driveway sitting in my car, or we could sit on the different sides of the yard just to change. But that's important to do. But I want us to think about that, because I am a firm believer that many of us, particularly in the human services field, we do push. We have this. My former instructor, when I was studying trauma in Canada, she said we have this disease called adaptation. Our bodies are beginning to fracture. Our minds are beginning to be emotionally exhausted and foggy, and uh, having difficulty to focus. There's all kinds of little indicators and warning signs, but my instructor said we have a disease called adaptation, that because we're so focused on helping, addressing the needs of others, that we can minimize, we can rationalize, not notice what's going on in our own bodies and minds and spirits. So I want to talk about that next week, and I hope that you are around. I'm going to be leaving on the 1st, and having my wonderful change of scenery to restore, to rest my body, to pamper myself, and just be in a wonderful environment. So I look forward to seeing you now. Actually, that's the first. I'm going to see you one more time before I leave, but I'll be telling you all about it. And I hope that I just gave you enough of a nudge for you to think carefully and be creative for yourself, given whomever you live with, whatever your responsibilities are. There's always a way to have a change of scenery. So see you next week on Mindfulness Monday, and take care and bye-bye. Be kind to yourself. God bless.
I was just going to say, Beverly, my mic was muted for a minute, but I was just going to say that your message is so important, because even if it's just a minimal change of scenery, anything to kind of give you a new perspective and a new lease on life, so to speak. And right now we are all looking for ways to stay well in our bodies, of course, but also in our minds and our spirit. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that you have just received a wonderful grant that's going to be helping you, putting you in front of people who are dealing with trauma on an everyday basis on the front lines when it comes to children. Tell us about the ACES grant that you are a recipient of. What is that about? What does it entail?
Yeah. Well, ACES is there's an acronym for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And they really, really have broken this down marvelously to look at when you kind of dose, so you kind of number or calculate the experiences that children could have who are abused, who are neglected, who are injured in any way, or coming out of very chaotic, dysfunctional homes. That so many of those experiences kind of sum and lead to a host of illnesses, a host of they even factor the loss of life, as you probably well know. But the ACES grant was afforded to a number of us who will be in the field. We already are in the field working with people who work with people impacted by trauma. Yet this is specifically about people who work with children. Among the main people who are eligible to receive the trainings, and the trainings will be for free. ACES is paying me to come to you to provide these trainings. I will also be combining compassion fatigue with understanding your trauma as you do your secondary on vicarious trauma as you do the work helping these children. But the eligibility is it primarily Medi-Cal providers. They're primarily medical and mental health workers who work with the children and families. And I've also asked them to please include the other workers, the other stakeholders, and we just kind of combine those rooms. School-based schools, they're oftentimes the first line of defense because the children come there injured. People like CASA, court-appointed special advocates, and all the social workers and the counselors and the therapists, and you name it, nobody's excluded. But when you're first person on the response of horrific child abuse, child neglect, and dysfunctional homes, and all the potential dangers that brings, that this would be an excellent training for you. So in order to know, by all means, let us notify us on the site and the group. Linus will get that to my assistant to set up a phone call for us to talk about what your needs are, what the requirements are, the logistics, and then she will also help me work with you to schedule how I could bring that training to your site. It's for all of California, north and south of California, east and west of California. And just love to be able to provide those services. So that's basically what that is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that information. It's so important. She's an ACES grant recipient, and she is able to provide services for medical providers who are on the front lines of dealing with children who are at that very first stage of trauma. So if you know of anyone or any company or organization that would benefit from that, please go to her website at wellnessreset.net. That's wellnessreset.net, and find out whether or not you would be eligible to receive those services at no cost to you. And I wanted to let you know too, we have a comment from what you were talking about earlier in terms of changing the scenery. And somebody wrote that this was confirming and that she's working on this right now. So
whomever you are.
So that's fantastic. Yes. Sometimes it just takes that extra little nudge. And that's why we are so excited to always have you come on, Beverly, and talk about your passion, which is preventing compassion fatigue and preventing situations where people end up being unwell as a result of too much stress, too much trauma, and not enough help. We want to be able to, on the Mindfulness Mondays with Beverly, to be able to reach out to you and to give you some quick tips of things that you can do to minimize the impact of being on the front lines of trauma and working with all kinds of people. And thank you, first responders, and all of you human resource, human service professionals. You are the ones who help people, and Beverly's the one who helps the helpers. So thank you, Beverly, so much.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. Especially those of you who was always very challenging work that we highly respected, but now during the COVID era, your work is really exacerbated, really compounded. It has a very accumulative effect. And I'm just honored and thank Linus for making it possible for me to help the helper. And so thank you too, Linus. I'll see y'all again next week.
Have a fantastic week. We'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.